Yuna, a 15-year-old girl who has just entered the world of idols, is extremely nervous about her first performance. She has a fit and agile body, perfectly suited for professional dancers. Her captivating face is one of her distinct qualities. Her newly dyed red hair, flowing down to her waist, adds to her beauty. After several days of exhausting practice for her debut idol performance, Yuna heads over to Emma's house to relax a bit and find comfort in the company of her close friend. Emma assures her that her brother, Mikey, is also home, though he probably won't be much of a presence. As soon as she enters, Yuna's met with Mikey's laid-back, sleepy face. Yuna, with a friendly smile, curiously asking, "Are you Mikey? I heard you don't go out much, but there are quite a lot of stories about you." Not expecting this question, Mikey yawns and replies in a nonchalant tone, "Mikey, well, you're an idol, right? Emma's friend. She talks about you all the time." Yuna nods and steps a bit closer to Mikey, asking him curiously, "Yuna, tell me, are those stories true? Are you really the leader of a gang? What was it called? The Tokyo Manji gang? Or was it just Toman?" With a slight hesitation, Mikey glances at Yuna, then, without a moment's pause, answers indifferently, "Yeah, you heard right." Yuna, not expecting an affirmative answer, hesitates. Her expression shifts from curiosity to disgust as she gives Mikey a cold, hateful look. Yuna, with a voice tinged with hatred and disappointment, "Seriously? You're actually proud of having nothing better to do with your life than forming a gang? I thought someone people talk so much about would actually be important, not just some criminal." Mikey, displeased with Yuna's reaction, stares at her seriously and coldly. "Mikey, well, you seem pretty smart, so you should know. The whole world isn't like the happy idol world." This comment irritates Yuna even more. She's angered by Mikey mocking her world and looks away from him in frustration. At that moment, Emma enters and senses the tension between them. Emma, with a gentle tone, "Hey, you two. Why are you fighting? I thought you'd get along well. I was sure you'd get along. So, why are you two arguing?" Emma calmly tries to ease the tension between them, but Yuna still seems upset by Mikey's attitude. And Mikey isn't too pleased with Yuna's quick judgment either. This initial tension makes them see each other as completely different, even unpleasant people. Instead of finding peace, Yuna feels let down by Mikey's behavior. She hands her concert ticket to Emma and asks her to bring another friend to watch her performance instead. Emma agrees, but instead of inviting a friend, she asks Mikey to come along with her. On the day of the concert, Mikey sits beside Emma with a bored expression staring at the stage, while Emma waits eagerly for the show to start. The cheers and applause of the fans rise, and colorful lights illuminate the stage. Then, Yuna, wearing a sparkling and attractive outfit, steps onto the stage, drawing all eyes toward her.
They try to imitate me, chasing shadows down the street, but my vibe they just can't see. Feel my rhythm, feel the beat. In the mirror they pretend their mimicry will never end. Authenticity I defend, a trendsetter I transcend. On me, echo in the night, a reflection bright with light. You can copy but you'll fail, original and frail. steps, they have no chance. I'm the spark in every dream. In their eyes I make them gleam, but the truth is often mean. They can never be my theme. Their mimicry will never end. Authenticity I defend, a trendsetter I transcend. I'm me, echoing the night, a reflection bright with light. You can copy but you'll fail, original and frail. Like a shadow on the wall, they mimic all the rise and fall. But they can't capture it all, only mirrors in their hall. Like a shadow on the wall, they mimic all the rise and fall. But they can't capture it all, only mirrors in their hall. Every move and every glance, they replay it in a trance. But they're missing that romance. In my steps they have no chance. I'm the spark in every dream. In their eyes I make them gleam, but the truth is often mean. They can never be my theme.
At first, Mikey seems indifferent, but as Yuna begins her performance, he watches her more intently. Her movements on stage, the grace and strength in her dancing, and her ability to captivate the audience make Mikey forget all his worries for a moment, entirely absorbed in watching her. As the performance ends, Yuna, with a faint smile and eyes filled with excitement, bows to her fans, and Mikey feels a deep sense of admiration for her. He can no longer deny that Yuna is more than he initially thought. Emma, with an indescribable excitement, says to Mikey, "Wow, did you see that? I told you Yuna is amazing." Mikey, looking softer than ever, replies to Emma, "Yeah, she was really good." After the concert, Mikey and Emma go backstage to congratulate Yuna on her amazing performance, but they find her utterly exhausted, on the verge of fainting. Yuna's solo performance had drained her so much that even breathing was difficult. A doctor was examining her, and nurses surrounded her. Yuna's solo performance looked quite different from backstage. After seeing Yuna in that condition, Mikey found it hard to mock the idol world in their future meetings, and he even developed a certain respect for her. From that moment on, even when Yuna continued to look at him with cold, disdainful glances, Mikey no longer felt offended. Over the course of their repeated encounters, Mikey grew curious as to why Yuna insisted on being an idol, even though it seemed so difficult for her. One day, they happened to meet by chance in a cafe. This unexpected encounter gives Yuna and Mikey a chance to discover deeper layers of each other's personalities. Yuna sits in a corner of the cafe, lost in thought, trying to avoid any interaction with Mikey. But he approaches her, giving her a friendly look and a small smile, hoping to start a conversation. With a calm and thoughtful tone, Mikey asks Yuna a simple question. "Why do you like being an idol so much? Isn't it really hard?" Yuna, initially reluctant to talk, decides to give an honest answer after seeing the serious and curious look in Mikey's eyes. With a tired and slightly sorrowful expression, she replies with something Mikey did not expect. Many people think being an idol is all beauty and fame. But for me, it's something I have to be. My brother, he was my whole world. When he saw I had a good voice, he always encouraged me to become an idol. He believed I could be the best, not just thought. He was sure I would be the best. I'm just trying to become what he believed I could be. Mikey, a bit surprised, asks, "Where's your brother now?" With a look of anger and a serious tone, Yuna responds, "He is dead. You guys killed him." A heavy silence falls between them. Hearing Yuna's story and the deep pain hidden behind her desire to become an idol, Mikey feels a genuine sense of regret for the first time. With a respectful gaze, he replies, "I'm sorry, Yuna, but our gang, the Tokyo Manji gang, is different from the gangs you know. We don't want to hurt people. We just support others like us. If you don't believe me, you can spend some time with us and see for yourself." Yuna finds Mikey's offer unexpected and a bit strange. For a moment, she hesitates, unable to understand why Mikey wants her to see what his gang is about. But there's something in his eyes that sparks her curiosity. In a hesitant tone, she answers, "All right, just once. But if I see anything I don't like, I won't want to see you or your gang again." Mikey nods in agreement, with a gentle smile on his face, as if he's taken a big step towards understanding Yuna better. He knows this meeting could be an opportunity for her to see the real side of his gang, and maybe break down the wall of resentment between them. After this agreement, both leave the cafe with different feelings, but both are filled with curiosity and doubt. Mikey sets a time and place for their next meeting, asking Yuna to come alone and without letting anyone else know. A few days later, Yuna arrives at the given address, looking both stressed and determined. She wears a simple outfit to avoid standing out and walks in calmly but with purpose. When she arrives, Mikey and a few key members of the gang greet her. There's an atmosphere that strangely doesn't feel unfamiliar to Yuna, though there's still a hint of hesitation on her face. With a reassuring smile, Mikey says, "Don't worry. You're not going to see anything dangerous. I just want you to realize that the image you have of us isn't accurate." Yuna looks around carefully. She sees groups of bikers just talking about bikes, teens wrestling playfully, and others cheering them on. Contrary to her image of a gang, there is no violence or fear here. Instead, there's a sense of belonging and unity. At that moment, one of the gang members approaches Yuna. A young boy with a kind smile asks if she's new to the gang. Yuna, with a shy smile, replies, "No, I'm just here because Mikey invited me." In a quiet, astonished voice, Yuna says to Mikey, "Is this really your gang? It doesn't resemble the gangs I know at all. This feels more like a family." Watching Yuna's reaction closely, Mikey's smile grows warmer as he says calmly, "We just help each other. Sometimes we have to go down difficult paths, but our goal is never to hurt anyone. We support each other, like family." Yuna feels the weight of these words deeply. Memories of her brother resurface, and she glances at Mikey again, this time with more curiosity than resentment. "Then why did you choose this path?" Yuna asks, with a calm yet dignified tone. "If your goal is to help and protect others, why a gang? Why breaking the law?" Mikey, his face growing more serious and a hint of sadness appearing, looks around and says, "Because sometimes, to protect what's important to you, you have to swim against the current. I don't want any of these kids here to get hurt, even if it means facing those ruthless gangs that don't show any mercy." With a slight look of remorse on her face and a composed tone, Yuna turns to Mikey and says, "I think it's best if we call this our first meeting. What do you say?" Not fully understanding, Mikey asks, "What do you mean?" Then, Yuna extended her hand to Mikey and said, "I'm Shirasu Yuna, the one who's going to become the world's greatest idol." In response, Mikey shook her hand and replied, "I'm Sano Manjiro, the one leading Japan's greatest gang. Nice to meet you, Shirasu Yuna." Yuna happily responded, "Nice to meet you too, Sano Manjiro." In Yuna's eyes, you could see that, for the first time, her feelings toward Mikey and his world had begun to change. Several weeks passed since Yuna's first meeting with Mikey and his gang. During this time, she developed a sense of respect and even a fondness for the camaraderie and support that existed among them. One day, she approached Mikey with a big smile, catching him by surprise. Yuna, with excitement lighting up her face, told Mikey something that left him stunned. "Mikey, I've decided to put on a private concert for you guys. The whole gang, all 100 of you, are invited." Mikey, looking at her in disbelief, tried to hide a smile, but found himself intrigued by Yuna's enthusiasm. Mikey, with a teasing tone, "The whole gang? Are you sure you can handle such a crowd? Some of these guys are really wild." Yuna laughed and confidently replied, "Why not? Since I started this career, I've learned how to handle all types of audiences. The important thing is that you all enjoy the performance." Mikey gave a slight smile and nodded, then joked, "If this concert's supposed to be private, I won't let the guys act rowdy like usual." A few days later, the small venue Yuna had booked gradually filled with gang members, from the veterans to the newer ones, all watching with curiosity and excitement. Dressed beautifully, Yuna prepared backstage. Just before stepping out, she glanced out at the crowd and spotted Mikey among them, standing beside his close friends, watching her intently. When the performance
Wake up with the spark in your eyes. Shake the dust, see the new sunrise. Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat race. Take a step into an open space. Cast your fears, let them drift away. Find your light in the break of day. Catch the dreams that swirl in the sky. Soar above like you're born to fly. You need to be alive to see the world spin. Every moment's just a chance to begin. Colors burst and the stars all unfurled. You need to be alive to see the world. Life's a dance in the pouring rain. Feel the joy and embrace the pain. Write your story on the page of time. Craft the lyrics of your own sweet rhyme. Close your eyes, let your soul ignite. In the darkness, be your own light. Reach out far, let your spirit swirl. You need to be alive to see the world. You need to be alive to see stars all unfold. You need to be alive to see the world.
Performance began. Yuna's gentle, soothing voice filled the air, her movements perfectly synchronized with the music. For the gang members, many of whom had never experienced a concert like this, it was captivating. Each note and motion from Yuna held them spellbound, and loud cheers erupted from the audience. Even Mikey, with his usual calm demeanor, gazed at her with clear admiration. After the performance, Yuna bowed graciously, thanking everyone, and the crowd erupted with applause and cheers. Mikey and some other members approached her to offer their congratulations. Mikey, with a slightly serious yet appreciative tone, said, "It's clear you put a lot into this performance. It was really amazing. I didn't expect to enjoy it this much." Yuna gave a soft smile and replied, "So maybe now you can understand why the idol world means so much to me." Mikey, nodding in agreement, "Yeah, maybe more than I thought." This performance and the gang's appreciation for Yuna helped close the distance between her and Mikey more than ever. It led her to let go of her previous coldness towards him entirely. Over time, the bond between Mikey and Yuna grew unexpectedly closer and more meaningful. Her presence beside Mikey not only pulled him out of his shadows, but also gave him newfound strength to face his challenges. The two began to meet more frequently and developed a deeper understanding of each other. They celebrated important occasions together, and Yuna formed close bonds with the entire Tokyo Manji gang, becoming almost like family. However, peace for them grew increasingly elusive and fragile. Enemies of Mikey, noticing his close relationship with Yuna, assumed she was more than just a friend and thought of her as Mikey's girlfriend. This belief quickly made Yuna an easy and constant target. She faced several unexpected attacks during her concerts, and with limited ways to protect herself, there was little she could do. These continuous threats cast a shadow over their relationship, forcing Yuna to consider a future far from this dangerous world. Eventually, given her talent and potential, Yuna received an offer from an American music group. Initially, she was torn and didn't want to leave Mikey and the Tokyo Manji family so easily. But with the constant threats and the opportunity for a new, safer and more professional life in America, she decided to accept and leave Japan. Years passed, and at the age of 26, after living and achieving success in America, Yuna returned to Japan. Now a mature and famous woman, memories of her past remained vivid in her mind. Upon returning, the first thing she did was search for her old friends, especially the Tokyo Manji gang. But what she discovered shocked her. After some investigation, she learned that the Tokyo Manji gang had disbanded a year after she left. The absence of that group, which was once her family, left her with a deep sense of regret and nostalgia. In her search, she found Emma, who provided her with more information about Mikey. Yuna was surprised to hear that Mikey was no longer part of any gang but had become a motorcycle racer instead. Imagining Mikey in such a role felt strange to her, but she also remembered his long-standing love for motorcycles. Despite everything, Yuna chose not to see Mikey and returned to America, believing that he might no longer care about seeing her and wouldn't be happy to meet again. She still carried deep feelings for the past, but believed that the best course of action was to leave those memories behind and continue her new life. Yuna walked toward the airport with her suitcases. She felt conflicted inside. On one hand, she wished for her new life in America to continue. But on the other hand, her heart couldn't forget the memories of the past. She had spent so many moments thinking about Mikey and the days she had spent with Tokyo Manji. She told herself that everything was over and she had to move on from that chapter of her life. But with every step she took toward the airport, it felt like something deep inside was screaming for her not to go back. In that moment, the familiar sound of a motorcycle engine echoed. Yuna quickly lifted her head, her eyes scanning the crowd. Yes, it was true. Mikey! He sped toward her on his motorcycle and immediately stopped. Mikey, who had changed a lot since the old days, gazed at Yuna with deep eyes. A calm smile appeared on his lips. Yuna, I see you. Are you going somewhere? Let me give you a ride. Yuna looked down and thanked him softly. After a brief pause, she said with difficulty, "Thank you so much, Mikey." Throughout the ride, neither of them spoke at first. The only sound was the hum of the engine. After a few minutes, Mikey spoke up, his voice calm and concerned. "Yuna, how have you been? You've changed a lot since you left. I've often wondered how you're doing." Yuna looked down and remained silent for a moment. She felt a heaviness in her heart that she couldn't ignore. Finally, she sighed and said, "It's been hard, Mikey. I never thought I'd end up here. So many things have changed, and I still think about a lot of things." Tears welled up in Yuna's eyes. She struggled to hold them back, but ultimately she couldn't stop them. Her tears streamed down her face. Mikey, who always saw himself as a strong person, easily drew close to her and gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "Hey, none of this is worth your tears. You're much stronger than you think." Yuna collapsed into Mikey's arms and began to cry. Her tears freely flowed from her eyes, and she couldn't hold back anymore. These emotions had been bottled up inside her for so long, and now, in Mikey's embrace, it felt like all the heavy burdens were being lifted from her shoulders. Mikey held her tightly and softly whispered in her ear, "You're not going anywhere, Yuna. You're staying here. This is where you belong. You need to stay with me." Yuna slowly calmed down from her tears and with a trembling voice said, "But I have to go. It's a big opportunity." Mikey gently rested his head on her shoulder and said, "This opportunity is not bigger than you and me. You have a place here. This is your home." Finally, Yuna, with eyes still filled with tears, looked at him. A faint smile appeared on her lips, and she felt that the big decision of her life was being made at that very moment. Yes, maybe you're right. In the end, Yuna decided not to go to America and stayed with Mikey, continuing her life in Japan. Right by Mikey's side, where she knew she truly belonged. And nothing could ever separate them.